Hello, this is Mike. In this screencast, I'd like to look at one of the most popular and extensive tools available to us in social media implementation, Facebook, the social network, the world-leading social network, possibly the largest social media platform of them all. This is very much my 101. I just want to highlight some of the basics for those who are not avid Facebook users, things you need to know. And particularly if you're thinking of approaching it from a business point of view. And I'm going to mainly talk about pages, as they are perhaps the single most important feature in a business environment. And I'll highlight one or two other topics along the way. So just to put some Facebook context here, it's the world's largest social network. If it was a country, well, depending on what stats you use, it would be the third biggest country in the world in terms of population. These figures on this slide illustrate the extent and reach from 233 million users in the EU, through 173 in North America, 20 million in the Middle East, down to 6 million in a relatively small geographical area such as the Caribbean. Massive uptake and usage, of course, not available in the most populated country on earth, China, as yet. It's predominantly female, but only just. Over 80% of users are graduates, perhaps unsurprising given its origins at Harvard Business School. Middle to high income earners in the main. Over 50% of people accessing via mobile devices. And contrary to popular belief, it's not becoming the old person's platform. It's still very wide-ranging in terms of its age group. So Facebook is massive. Arianna Huffington, who's founded the Huffington Post, one of my favorite news blogs, she made the analogy of Facebook as being like a newspaper, a daily newspaper. Any newspaper will have lots of features, news items, advertisements, things that we're interested in. The difference between a normal newspaper and Facebook is the editor. Someone else, a third party, the newspaper editor, decides what content we'll see. And, if a newspaper attracts enough people with a varied content, it'll sell advertising revenue and gain a good share of voice. The massive difference with Facebook is that you as the user become the editor. You subscribe to various Facebook resources. Could be the profile pages of friends and family, could be corporate pages that you've liked, online gaming services, whatever it is. The point is, when you log in and you see your newsfeed updated, it's content you've chosen to subscribe to, rather than content a newspaper editor has pushed at you. But otherwise, if you think of it as a dynamic newspaper that you're in control of, a pull newspaper rather than a push newspaper, then you see how Facebook operates, and also realize that, as in anywhere else in social media, content is king. Profiles in Facebook belong to individuals, not organizations. You can't set up a company profile. Yeah, it has to belong to somebody. Don't try and violate the terms. They quickly spot you and shut you down. Everyone should technically have one profile unique to them. From that, they can create pages, groups, whatever they wish for businesses. But it has to belong to somebody. And the origins of Facebook were personal. Remember, it was set up for family and friends to talk to each other and connect. So that's why the personal profile, is such a prominent feature of Facebook. Manage it carefully, project the right profile. It can still be a very, very effective tool, whether you just want to be a likable sort of person or an authoritative thought leader or consultant. Think about Facebook and how you're going to use it. If you're going to use it for business use, Work very carefully on the privacy settings, yeah. Conduct your social life socially and in private, perhaps with restricted access to your posts. If you're going to use it in any way in a professional manner, keep the posts that are publicly available as professional as possible. And, learn from the best. Huffington's own Facebook profile, in my view, textbook example of what a Facebook profile should look like if you're going to use it in any way in your professional life. So have a look at key business or thought leaders in your own area, see how they present themselves and construct your profile that way. You can, within Facebook, build communities. They're called groups in Facebook. And these are set up by individuals to share interests and ideas. There are 3 types of group. There's this completely secret and invisible group. No one can see it or even find it in a search. The more common are those which are closed. I have 1 or 2 closed groups to work on projects with colleagues or to interact with groups. I have colleagues on perhaps a research item, or some teaching staff have set up a group to share best practice. They're closed. People can see they exist, but only members can view and post. And then there are the open groups. Only members can post, but anyone in the world can find the group and read the posts on it. They just can't comment. Some businesses do use these, and in the world of celebrity and sport, groups of this type are quite popular. A football team, for example, may have several key individuals who have a group, and they build the football team's brand by posting in there. Other people can't comment, they can just like. But generally, pages are more flexible, so that's what I'd like to think about. A Facebook page, they can be used by individuals, I know a number of teachers who have a Facebook page and they post stuff that interests them, and students can ask them questions and things. Particularly good because you don't have to friend anybody, You can set the privacy settings, so I can have a page aimed at students. They can ask me questions, but I don't have to friend them and see personal stuff, and they don't have to friend me. Great way to manage things. Lots of companies, particularly in the consumer sector, use them too, and they have, because of the scale of Facebook and its more conversational nature, the way content can be shared, very commonly a Facebook page will get far more traffic than a general web page. Certainly people will visit them more often. And, as you'll have seen on stationery and billboards, you can get a Facebook URL for your page, facebook.com/ and your business name. And 1 or 2 individuals can be set up to administer that page. So let's think a little bit more about the Facebook page. Here's one for the movie Star Wars. It could be a bar of chocolate. It could be anything. As you can see, it looks kind of like any other Facebook page. This one is being viewed as me, so some of my friends pop up on it too. But there you go, news content posted by the makers of the movie. Some things to keep in mind when you're setting up your page. First thing it'll ask you to do is classify the page you're creating properly. There are about 6 categories at the time I'm recording this, from local businesses to company names to brands to individuals, celebrities, and so on. You can change it later, but to get the maximum traffic early on, think a little bit about this and choose the right category. As an organization, I would say as soon as you set it up as an administrator, add at least one other person. If the person who controls the Facebook page leaves, you could have a problem. I'd also recommend doing so with a dedicated email. Yeah. So I have a domain, Facebook admin@hobbartschoice.com. So hobbartschoice.com is my domain. I've set up an email address, Facebook admin, and that username can be used to log into the Facebook site. Facebook page. That means if I wanted to hand over control of that page to someone else, I just have to tell them the password that goes with that. And so if in a business context, if the person looking after your Facebook page leaves, you can give that email and domain to someone else and to administer, get them to reset the password, and administrative access is transferred. It's that simple. Don't, if asked to ever administer one of these pages, be put off by the fact you have to log in as an individual. The personal profile is totally unconnected to the Facebook page. It's a common myth that it is connected in some way. It's not. If I move from my Mike Nicholson Facebook profile, and as soon as I click on the Hobbit's Choice page in this example, then I'm posting as that name, Hobbit's Choice, not as myself, and there's no link through to my personal profile. So you're completely anonymous as the administrator to those viewing the site. Just keep an eye on privacy settings there. Also, when setting up your page, think of the name. You can choose that URL, facebook.com/ the name of the page, Hobbit's Choice in my case. But once you set it, you can't keep changing it. Yeah. So, you're stuck with the name. So think very carefully. And a word of warning, Facebook is so massive, have several names in mind. You may well not get the first name you really want. So have some alternatives to hand at sign up. You can have lots of different types of name. You might go for something brand based. So the URL facebook.com/ Hobbit's Choice is an attempt for me to establish a brand around my page name. Alternatively, it could be keyword based. If you're an accountancy firm in Durham City, facebook.com accountant in Durham will come up very highly in search results too. So think about the name very carefully and the style you want to go for, brand or keyword based. Branding is everything if you're going to use Facebook for business purposes. You don't just need a good name, you need to think about the look of the page. Yeah. Just like your personal Facebook profile, you can put a cover photo there. Make sure it's something relevant to the brand. It has a logo added to it. Make sure the whole color scheme suits the business, its personality, and the objectives of the page itself. Use the About section to create copy about the organization and the brand. Dove toiletries are worth a look there, facebook.com/Dove. Really good example of an About section being used to talk about a brand name. You might have some relevant terms and conditions to add if you're going to use the page, for example, for customer support for purposes. British Airways have a good example of that. Again, go to their Facebook page and click on About and see how they've managed terms and conditions. I'd also recommend very much at the start of your Facebook page of spending a bit of time working on the timeline. Yeah, the timeline is the chronological sequence of posts, but you can put in there at the beginning the date the firm was founded, the date you launched the brand the page is about, and so on. So you provide a bit of history, a bit of context to your brand and its heritage. That's a good trick. You need good content on Facebook just like any other platform. But the way Facebook weights pages when people are searching for them, imagery is particularly important. Video content, especially important. So without overdoing it, make sure your regular posts do contain imagery. You'll get much greater hit rate than if you just put a lot of text up there. You could post about lots of things, but some suggestions from me of things to keep in mind. Go for a house style, particularly if there are several administrators posting content, just like a blog. You need to think about how things are going to be worded and so on. strategically choose other relevant parties to share content. Facebook is about community building. A brand that just mentions your company's products is very boring and not in the spirit of a social network. So, have some, strategic links to other organizations too, and embrace the social dimension. You can stimulate extra traffic by allowing discussions, polling, inviting comments on products or services, but of course you need to have people monitoring the content just in case. But if you do go down this route, make sure that the monitoring person is also the person who's charged with replying. If the worst thing that can happen is that you invite conversation and then you don't reply, you're better off having the comments turned off than doing that. So keep your posts short and sweet, keep them focused, embrace the social and conversational dimensions, and above all else, participate. So pages, they're a great tool to use. But the main thing to think about here is that it's all about community building. Whether you're using a page, a group, or just an individual profile. Think about who's going to own your presence and what admin level they'll have. Don't underestimate the resource requirements, both financial and in terms of time and workload. Have clear ideas in mind if someone attacks your page, if there are negative comments posted, what is the response going to be? Don't just, in some cases you do have to just delete them, but in most cases it's better to respond to a negative comment. Sorry you've had a problem with that product. Let's have a conversation offline and we'll fix it for you. It's a much better response than deleting a complaint. And remember, the web is not just global, it's 24/7. If you're going to have a Facebook page, a presence of any description on Facebook, you need evening and weekend monitoring too. I was once on a train on a Friday afternoon. I had quite a serious complaint that wasn't being addressed. So I went to the Facebook page of the train company. I posted a negative comment and other people on that train started doing the same. It was Friday afternoon, as I said. No one checked it until about 10 o'clock Monday morning, by which time there were over 100 complaints from disgruntled rail customers of that company. Silly. The things could have been fixed pretty easily, actually, but the whole world saw a bunch of disgruntled passengers and what they thought about the train journey for a whole weekend before the organization looked at it. So think about out-of-hours office hours, and think about lines of authority in terms of levels of response. Who can take action to address a problem that may become apparent through the Facebook presence? There are lots of tools that you can bolt onto your Facebook page to make it better. There's a whole variety of apps out there. You can use it to promote loyalty, to target advertising to particular visitors. You can strategically pay for display ads on other pages and in groups and communities. You can sponsor stories, and you can have promoted and targeted posts. So, explore some of the corporate options in Facebook. They're more sophisticated than you think, and actually, in the scheme of things, they're not that expensive either. And Facebook Insights is worth checking out to do this very early on, from number of hits on a particular story to the demographics and the parts of the world that people are viewing your posts. There's a whole massive amount of data that you can pull out of Facebook to help you. The metrics in Facebook can help you decide what to post, how often to post it, what type of content gets viewed, what doesn't get viewed, what ads are drawing in traffic, which ones aren't working. whole host of things there. Explore Facebook Insights, explore their websites. Services are being updated all the time. Some great tutorials on the Facebook site itself. But, no point in any business activity if you're not going to measure outcomes. So make Facebook Insights one of the first things you look at after starting your presence. So there we are, a quick Facebook 101, some comments from me more than anything on things to look out for. I hope you found that helpful. Pages, if you're going to start any kind of business activity in a social network, they're Facebook's best option. But remember, don't just have a strategy and implement it. Explore those metrics too to see if it's working or not working, and to help guide your future revision, evolution, implementation. Thank you very much.